Hey guys, it's Ruben here with another game review, and this one is for Redout, a game made by 34 Big Things, one of the largest independent game studios in Italy. With 20 people working on this project over 4 years, this team had one goal in mind, and that is to elevate the Italian indie game industry. The devs consider Redout to be a pure anti-gravity racing game, which is designed to be a tribute to the classic arcade racing monsters such as F-Zero and Wipeout. The game is also supposed to be uncompromising, fast, tough, and a satisfying experience. The game was released last year on Steam to very positive reviews, and since then the devs have been supporting the game with patches, updates, and DLCs. I never got a chance to play the game, so I decided to grab the PS4 version of the game, which is supposed to come with all the previously mentioned expansions and updates in one sweet package. Well, the game is finally here on the PS4, so it's time to give my verdict. I'd like to preface the video by saying thanks to Blake for getting me an early copy of the physical game, which I used for the majority of the review. But then the disc broke, and the devs were nice enough to give me a review code so I could test the online component of the game and other extra stuff. So a big thank you to 34 Big Things and Valerio in particular for sending me the code. I would also like to thank my friend Darren and his band Black Creek Rain for doing my intro song and no copyright sounds for the rest of the background music. Now let's get on with the review. The first thing to get out of the way is the story. There is none, and in a game like this you don't really need one. This is a purely adrenaline-filled rush that you will get with each event, whether it be a 30 to 45 second time attack, a brutal onslaught with other competitors in a high-speed race, or a last man standing survival match. This is a purely gameplay driven game that's only focused on giving you the thrill of going insanely fast. The name of the game is Speed. It's all about the speed. Yeah, there is a nice quote that the devs mention about their game, and it is that Redout is the fastest game ever made in its genre. Well, I have to agree. I mean, what other game breaks Mach speed like it's nothing on a regular basis? Yeah, you get the idea. Get ready to have your perception turned inside out when playing this game. Well, that was the story, not much there other than trying to be the best and the fastest racer. Now let's look at the graphics, performance, and visual design. My god, I don't say this too often, but to think a dev managed to bring this much amount of detail onto a PS4 game while going at ridiculous speeds and maintaining a solid 60 frames per second with little to no frame rate inconsistencies is actually a wonder. It's an achievement that 34 Big Things can be proud of and need to be commended for. The game's visuals are slick and hyper-stylistic. All the vehicle models look amazing and look like they were an amalgamation of cars from F-Zero and Wipeout. The bright colors are a treat to your eyes and also a constant barrage of visual feedback that will make your eyes bleed. Due to the ridiculous speeds you can go at in this game, your eyes will start to feel the burn as colors will pop left and right as though the devs are shining different colored lights at your face constantly. As mentioned before, it is a visual delight and also something to watch out for. As many times, after 3 to 4 races, I really needed to go take a break and wash my eyes and cool them off because I was really starting to get tired. The game does mention that people who are photosensitive shouldn't play this game, and I would advise this to the max, as people who are epileptic might not be able to survive the amazing visual assault the game will throw at your eyes. The environments are also another highlight in the game. The devs mentioned a lot of obsession went into creating the environments used for racing locations. To be totally honest, 99.999% of the time, your eyes are going to be glued to the path in front of you and your anti-gravity vehicle. The ship moves so fast that everything around your vicinity is just a blur. There's no possible way your eyes can even have the chance to look at the pretty sights. But if you take your time and move slowly around the racetrack, the details are definitely there. Some of these locations are unimaginable, like an overgrown jungle fusing with a racetrack that has like 4 to 6 loops, and sprinkle in a couple underwater locations just for fun, or a racetrack in space, and my favorite one is the volcano. Visually, not design-wise, as it is an absolute nightmare. It's too bad you won't get the time to notice the ridiculous amount of detail that has gone into the overall world of the game's locations, because your eyes can only handle so much, and most of the time it will be what is directly ahead of you in your path. Everything else is peripheral, and your eyes won't have the time to take a second and notice the pretty sights. It's still appreciated that this much effort went into the making of the game. As mentioned before, performance is rock solid on the base PS4, and may have occasional frame rate dips when you break Mach speed. So I don't really understand what larger devs are complaining about when they say they need more power from the PS4 when a dev like this one can come in with 20 or so people and drop a game that is a visual assault on your eyes and still manages to run at 60 frames per second. I'll tell you what it is. It's the need to push new peripherals at us constantly, like a new iteration of an iPhone every year. It's understandable by just playing the game that with sheer passion alone, 34 Big Things have delivered an outstanding graphical showcase of technology with this game. So there's no excuse for devs to come out in the future and say that 60 frames is not a possibility, when 34 Big Things were able to release this game with a limited budget, manpower, and resources. I mean, what else do I need to say about the visual performance of this game? Nothing else. So let's move on to the audio design. This is another area that is excellent all across the board. The music selection here is just perfect and evokes the sense of speed. The music is there to elevate your senses and to make the whole experience exhilarating. There are some music tracks that include vocals for certain location which suit the scenery and is apt. 34 Big Things mentioned that they did get an in-house composer and sound designer for the game, and it pays dividends here for this title as it elevated the overall gameplay in my opinion. The sound design on each ship is unique depending on the model, and in turn affects the sound it makes when turning and whatnot. My favorite sound effect is when going at the speed of sound and overtaking an enemy. It's such an intense sound effect that is inexplicable, and it's something that has to be experienced and can't be really explained. There is only one person that speaks in the game, and that too is a monotonous robotic voice. It's okay the first few times, but when you hear her every time you lose a race or when you get eliminated, which will be many times in this game unless you're Neo and you see the game's coding and you can beat the game flawlessly. But this is the only voice you will hear over and over again, and I just wish they had gone for a more soothing voice than a more strict and robotic voice. It gets seriously annoying later on in the game. Other than that one personal gripe, the sound design is simply superb. Now that we got the audio and visual design out of the way, it's time to talk about the core aspect of the game, the reason you will sink hours into the game, the gameplay. This game is very simplistic in design. There's actually not much to worry about in terms of controls and mechanics, and the rest is just pure concentration and skill that is needed from the player to be able to advance in the game. You got your basic controls: move the ship with the left analog stick, R2 to accelerate, L2 to slow down, square for a power-up that recharges over time, X to boost, and that's pretty much it for basic controls. For a bit more advanced controls, you use the right analog stick. Moving the right analog stick left and right will strafe left and right, so you can turn sharp corners more easily, and pulling down on the right analog sticks tilts the ship upwards, which is super useful when going up ramps, and is an integral mechanic to not slow down in the game when actually going, up surfaces. And that's pretty much it for the controls. Now let's talk about the mechanics of the game when racing. Your ship has a health meter which gradually refills when you complete laps and go through checkpoints. You take too much damage and your ship explodes and you will have to respawn, which adds penalties to your overall time as well. Be careful as some races will instantly eliminate you for ship explosions. Each ship also has an energy meter that fills up when racing. Depending on how well you race, your energy meter fills up faster, so you can use the boost mechanic and the power-up, which you can customize for your own experience. You can also earn energy bonuses for tailgating an enemy and staying behind their slipstream. It's pretty common for racing games such as this one. Other than that, there's not much else to really worry about in the game. As mentioned before, the power-ups are there to be used throughout the race when you get enough energy. There are 6 different power-ups giving you the choice of playing your own way. You can choose to have an EMP that slows down enemies, allowing you to speed by, or a super powerful turbo boost that gives you the edge in races, or even just a repair drone so you can fix your ship in case you chose a ship that doesn't have too much health. There are enough ships and power-ups for you to experiment with, and add in the fact that you can also take a passive ability, and you can really create a monster of a combo. There are 6 passive abilities as well, ranging from faster respawning to more ship durability or even maximum overall speed for your vehicle. There's a fair bit of customization here for you to actually feel like you can tackle a race your own way, which is really nice. It makes the possibility of using all the ships an actual viability. And those are pretty much the controls and mechanics of the game. It's simplistic enough for newcomers to easily pick up the game and enjoy the fast-paced action, and also a little complex enough for veterans to use mechanics here and there to experiment to their heart's content. It has to be said that there are some really potent combos you can create here with options that you are given with. And some of my combos were really awesome. At the end of the game, I was destroying levels here and there, so it's going to be interesting to see when more people get their hands on the game. The game features a career mode, which is basically just going through different events so you can try to get the best outcome in the matches. Beating events will unlock new locations with new racetracks, new ships, upgrades, and unlocks. Finishing events will also give you cash, which can then be used to purchase your new unlocks. The game features 7 different locations, each one containing 5 different tracks. That's a total of 35 tracks, which is quite a lot for a budgeted independent game. There are 11 types of race events ranging from standards such as time attack and normal races to new concepts such as score attack, which adds a score multiplier depending on what position you are in the race. At the end of the race, the one with the most points wins. There's also last man standing, which is one of my favorites. Each lap, the last contender to cross the finish line gets eliminated. This mode keeps you on the edge, as making a mistake will instantly fail you. So career mode will keep cycling through different racetracks and events to keep it fresh, but sometimes certain maps get overused a lot, especially the Cairo ones. This is a problem because later on in the game you get introduced to locations such as Volcano, Europa, and Neptune, which have by far the most treacherous tracks I've ever faced. I died so many times on some of those tracks that rage quitting was a real possibility. But then after playing through the racetracks a couple more times, it became more manageable, but still, treacherous. I just wish they were interspersed more evenly, as the difficulty spike is really harsh later on in the game. There are only 7 types of ships, with each one having 4 classes, basically upgraded versions. Now this might seem like a bummer that there are only 7 types of ships, but they all feel unique and each have their own strengths and weaknesses, and when combined with power-ups and passives, you can create some really interesting combos. Each ship also has 4 upgrades that can be bought for them, basically more speed, handling, durability, and energy recharge rate, and it's pretty standard stuff. My favorite is the ship color customization, which there are many. I mean, you can't create your own colors and designs, but there are quite a lot of ship color designs to choose from, which is nice, and also helps to make the ship feel more customizable and personal. In terms of difficulty, the game starts out okay, but then ramps up real quick, and you are required to upgrade your ships and power-ups, or there's no way, to complete many of the events. This is okay considering you're given enough money every time you finish an event, even if you lose. So you're always progressing even if you're losing, which is really appreciated. In career mode alone, there are over 120 events to participate in and to try to earn a gold medal in, which will keep you occupied for a long time, at least 25 to 40 hours depending on skill level. And to add on top of that, there is 2-player split-screen multiplayer, which is a welcome addition as all racetracks can be played in that mode as well. I got to test the split screen with my sibling for several hours and it ran smoothly and was a lot of fun. The one gripe I have is that the split is vertical and not horizontal, which will throw many people off at the beginning. And to add icing on the cake, there is 2 to 6 player online multiplayer matchmaking for when you want to test your skills against complete strangers or with friends. Now I got the game really early, probably way before anyone else, so I waited till launch day to test the online. There weren't many people playing, but I did manage to play with my friends on and off camera, and the connections were solid, and the servers were pretty stable. It's pretty much the single player experience, but with more unpredictability with 5 human opponents to deal with. It was definitely a blast to play. And that brings us to the last criteria to rate my games, and that is the fun factor. And as I already mentioned multiple times before, that this was really fun to play. I mean, where else can you possibly feel like going at Mach speed? This game I would consider is probably the most I had fun playing as a racer on a PS4. Of course, my favorite racer would be Need for Speed Most Wanted back in the day, but on the PS4, you're not going to find a more exhilarating and fast-paced racing game than this one right now in the market. It's also quite challenging and rewarding as well. With all things considered, I'd give this game a 9 out of 10. The game might have launched a year ago with less content, but right now on the PS4, it's an enhanced version of the game. It's a stylish and slick game that delivers on its promises on giving the players the sense of breaking boundaries on how fast you can move in a game. It's brutal at times, a bit unforgiving really with all those difficulty spikes, but also extremely enjoyable, and at times provides you with a sense of wonder. It's a true adrenaline-pumped homage to the racing monsters of the past such as F-Zero and Wipeout games. In reality, it feels like a baby of F-Zero and Wipeout, which 34 Big Things raised on steroids over the past year. For $59.99 Canadian dollars and whatever your regional equivalence is, you're looking at an exceptional racing game that can have you engaged for 25 to 40 hours and will always leave you exhilarated. As mentioned before, 34 Big Things truly do need to be commended for the amazing tech showcased in the game, and one can only wonder what amazing game they can create next. Whatever it is, I'm extremely excited for it. Well, that's pretty much my verdict on the game. Again, I'd like to thank Blake, Valerio, and 34 Big Things for giving me the opportunity to work on this review, and I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys found the review informative, and hopefully it helps in making your decision on whether to get the game or not. Short answer is, if you love racing games, what are you waiting for? Just get it. But if you're still on the fence, you can watch some of the gameplay on my channel or anywhere else before making your purchase. If you do get it, I hope to see you on the racetracks. If you guys found the review helpful or enjoyed it, smash that like button as it really helps me out. And please do rate and share the video whenever you get a chance, as it is much appreciated. For all you newcomers, consider subscribing to stay tuned to more gameplay videos, guides, and reviews, and it also helps the channel grow. But that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, take care and please drive safely, and see you guys.